Hello, I just wanted to touch base with you regarding the argument persuasion paper. I know that you are finishing up the annotated bibliography, and that is the research portion of this paper. Um, I just wanted to point out that the draft is open. It's was open on Sunday and it closes November 3rd. So this is our big paper, our big assignment for this semester. It's actually more like your final as far as judging your overall learning of the outcomes. So anyway, I wanted to just point out that the draft is available and you're starting the planning in the discussion board now. I just wanted to show you a few of the resources. So there are some linked resources here. There are many more linked over on the resources thing, but just remember that some of these linked items are they're dated. I mean, MLA has changed, so even like in argument example 1 and 2, that's old MLA. It's fine. I mean, you're not going to you're not concerned necessarily with how these people cited their work cited as you are looking at the actual form and structure of the essay. So I've created a little PowerPoint here that's actually has the same information from the argument essay. I'm not going to read it to you, slide by slide, but I just wanted to point out some issues as we look at the different aspects here. So take on your own, read over it, just to kind of help orient yourself and get ready for this paper. So we have to have a purpose and audience for everything we write, and so the purpose is just to argue or persuade, and just consider a general educated audience. We don't have a specific audience in mind, but we do have one that is very capable of understanding what it is that we are arguing. Of course, you've already been doing the research, so this has to be a debatable topic, and the research is for you to support your point. You have to have at least 3 resources, but you can have more. And of course, you always want to use in-text citations whenever you use an author's idea, even if it's paraphrased or if you directly quote the source. This paper needs to be at least 4 pages in length. When I say 4 pages in length, it needs to be, close to the bottom of that 4th page. If you're a little bit short of 4 pages, that's fine, but it needs to be well over 3.5 pages. And of course, the works cited page does not count as that 4 pages. And this is an argument essay. It's a thesis-driven essay. It's not a report, so you have to have a very clear thesis presented. Please use a writer's reference as much as you can. There's instruction in there. We've gone over it earlier in the semester as far as quizzing. There's instruction on how to write introductions, how to write conclusions, that sort of thing. And of course, in the MLA, it discusses composing as well as the whole citing sources. So refer to that often. So there's a few slides here just talking about your planning. You really want to dig in and get to know as much about your topic as possible and all the different ramifications that are attached to your topic. There's way more than you realize on the surface. So look over these different questions that you can ask yourself to help you plan your paper. Of course, we started with a research question, and so, your answer to your research question is your essay, and the shortened version is your thesis, so keep that in mind. So let's talk about structure. This is still just an essay. It's a research-based one with support, but you have to have all the pieces in place. So that first paragraph is the introduction. And for Comp 1 in my class, I want you to have your thesis statement at the end of the introduction paragraph. It's really basic, but it's a good place to start. When you get to Comp 2, you can put it wherever you want. Also, you want to look at the writer's reference on writing introductions. There's different ways to go about it. And one way is to just set your topic in context, like why are we talking about this? So body paragraphs should represent the points you're making to support your thesis. So you need to have plenty of support. Each body paragraph needs to be focused. You need to have a clear topic sentence that is in your own words. And then that paragraph, supports that topic sentence. It's focused. Your paper should acknowledge the counter argument at some point, like the opposition. And there's a couple of different ways to do that as well. Perhaps you just half mention it, in one paragraph. Perhaps your whole paper is based on, going against the opposition. The final paragraph should be the conclusion. And conclusions are kind of hard sometimes. You don't want to introduce any new information at all. You want to wrap up what you've said and leave the audience with something to think about, basically. But watch yourself and how you address your audience. You don't want to be preachy. And then, of course, you need the works cited page as your last page. So the process, pre-writing, and then looking at and figuring out your thesis. At first, it's just a working thesis, and you may not have your final thesis until you come back to the end. Look for 3 or more points that strongly support your thesis. Okay. You want to organize it in a manner that makes sense. Usually we do with like most important comes last. So think about that. It just needs to make logical sense about how it's organized. And of course, this may take several drafts, and don't be afraid of that. Remember, everything that we've learned in our textbook that writing is not a one-shot deal, that it does take time and practice. Once you have the first, second, third draft, you want to come back and revisit the thesis. You want to make it as clear as possible. And then revising is just looking at the actual content, looking to make sure that these sentences make sense with each other, that they support each other, that you're not rambling or repeating. And then editing is going back and cleaning up spelling and grammar errors. So some tips, I'm sure I've already mentioned some of these things, but be very careful about not trying to structure your paper around the sources. So by no means should you have like one body paragraph deals with one source and then the next body paragraph deals with another source. That's not the way it works. The body paragraphs are your points, and the sources are just there to help support what you are saying. One thing I always recommend in research is that once you kind of get an idea of what your points are going to be, code them somehow. Maybe you assign a number to them, or maybe you assign a color to them. And so, you have 3, 4, 5 different points that you're working with. Pick 5 different color highlighters. Go back and reread your research, and as you come across evidence that supports any particular point, highlight it, and that helps you synthesize your resources. Also, just think about it this way. It's a 4-page paper, so you'll need roughly 8 half-page paragraphs. So what can those paragraphs be? If you have an introduction and conclusion, that takes care of 2. That leaves you with 6. Apparently I can't have 6 body paragraphs. I'll fix that. And so think about the different things that those body paragraphs can be. Background information, definitions, your different points in support, and your counter-argument. And then, of course, just keep in mind that this is still just an essay. You're going to start with an introduction with a thesis statement. Your paragraphs need to be focused. There shouldn't be any sentences in each paragraph that do not belong. Your topic sentences need to be your words and the whole paragraph supports the topic sentence. Gosh, I can't speak. Okay, so that's the little PowerPoint. I'm going to clean it up. I'm going to correct some of those mistakes, and it's available to you. This sample paper here is the one from Al Purdue. It really outlines different aspects of the formatting. This one here is another good sample paper. So take a look at those and participate in all drafting and processing. That will help. Okay. All right. I hope that helps you as you prepare to start really working on this paper. Talk to you later.